Hello there, folks. Mike Graham has excelled himself yet again. Not content with being an industry leader in farming concrete, Talk TV's resident gobshite landed both himself and his employer in hot water when he defamed the charity known as Migrants Organise on the June 10th, 2022 edition of his Talk TV show. The main defamatory statements included Graham stating the charity are, quote, human traffickers, unquote, and they, quote, facilitated fraud and terrorism, unquote. Mike Graham continued to share clips of these defamatory statements on Twitter over the following days, all whilst the folk at Migrants Organise were seeking legal advice. Well, I'm pleased to say this story has an extremely satisfying and poetic outcome, because the Rupert Murdoch-owned Talk TV have coughed up significant damages to the charity and agreed to share their grovelling apology on both the Talk TV Twitter page and the Concrete Farmer's personal Twitter page. We'll get to Mike Graham's reactions shortly, but first let's have a look at the press release from Migrant Organise following the out-of-court settlement reached with Talk TV on the morning of June 14th, 2023. And here it is, entitled Talk TV Issues Apology and Pays Substantial Damages to Migrants Organise for Defamatory Statements. Migrants Organise, an award-winning charity advocating for the rights and welfare of migrants and refugees, has received an apology and damages following defamatory accusations made by Talk TV and its host, Mr. Mike Graham. Presenter, Mr. Mike Graham, made false and damaging assertions on his show, The Independent Republic of Mike Graham, and in tweets in June 2022, which characterised Migrants Organise and its dedicated efforts to support migrants and refugees in inaccurate and harmful ways. The comments were broadcast on June 10th, 2022 and repeatedly shared on Twitter until June 13, 2022, inspiring a torrent of hateful messages and threats against Migrants Organise and its charitable funders. Recognising the gravity of the defamatory statements and the potential harm they could cause to Migrant Organise's reputation and work, the charity pursued legal recourse for a year to seek redress and vindication. After negotiations, Talk TV and Mr. Graham agreed to publish an apology stating that they, quote, accept there wasn't a factual basis, unquote, to the allegations that Migrants Organise, quote, facilitated fraud and terrorism, unquote. In addition to the apology, News UK Broadcasting Limited agreed to pay Migrants Organise legal costs and substantial damages. Migrants Organise CEO Zrinka Bralo said, quote, we are pleased to have resolved this matter and received an apology and damages for the false and damaging allegations. We sought to protect our reputation and for the safety of our people, migrants and refugees, our volunteers, staff, allies and supporters who work for dignity and justice. We were exposed to hate and threats of violence as a result of the mischaracterization of our work and the dehumanization of people in need, and we had to take a stand, unquote. The public apology and the settlement from Talk TV and Mr. Graham highlight the importance of standing up for fair and truthful reporting. Charities supporting vulnerable people are increasingly targeted by inaccurate media coverage and inflammatory language. Migrants Organise CEO Zrinka Bralo added, quote, this victory is for the people behind these headlines, people who have no voice or representation, people who are scapegoated, demonised and dehumanised. Their resilience is the source of hope for us all. The least we can do is treat them with humanity, and instead of blaming them for all our problems, we should look for more ways to welcome them. The damages received from the settlement will be utilised by Migrants Organise to further support our vital work in supporting migrants and refugees rebuild their lives. Migrants Organise would like to express gratitude to its members, trustees, funders, supporters, partner organisations and the wider community for their solidarity and unwavering support throughout this legal process. We are grateful to our legal team, Zilla Rachman of Rachman Lowe and Mark Henderson of Doughty Street Chambers. Commenting on the settlement, Mr. Rachman said, quote, "We have seen a real increase in the hostility towards migrants and refugees in the last few years under this government. I am delighted for Migrants Organised, who have been vindicated. They have shown great courage in challenging the false and often dangerous rhetoric around migrants and refugees. I hope this also serves as a lesson to the conservative media outlets and their presenters to ensure they are more responsible in what they say and publish on this topic." Unquote. So now we come over to Mike Graham's Twitter page to see this grovelling apology he's been forced to put up. This is so immensely satisfying because you just know, if you know the concrete farmer, he's so arrogant and he's such an egotist and he's such a narcissist that to push the tweet button when attaching this photo, attaching this image, will have hurt him to his core. Oh, it's brilliant. It's so satisfying. Let's have a read of it now, shall we? So it says, "We've been contacted by the charity Migrants Organised regarding the discussion on the Independent Republic of Mike Graham show and Twitter on 10 and 13 June 2022. They've expressed concern it was suggested that they were, quote, funded to help illegal migration, unquote, were, quote, human traffickers, unquote, and that they facilitated fraud and terrorism by advising asylum seekers to falsify information to bolster their asylum claims. We are happy to clarify that it was not our or Mike's intention to make those allegations, and we accept there wasn't a factual basis for doing so. There were criticisms of Migrants Organised in the show, and we should have offered the charity the opportunity to come on and respond. We apologise for not doing that and have agreed to pay them damages and legal costs." So this defence they've put up here of "we are happy to clarify that it was not our or Mike's intention to make those allegations and we accept there wasn't a factual basis for doing so." Is that them basically saying Mike Graham is stupid? They weren't based in fact and he didn't mean to do it. So what, he's a hothead? Is that what they're saying? He's a hothead who doesn't think? It's most bizarre. Really, really weird. Anyway, let's see what Mike Graham's response to this has been, right? Because people have been retweeting this, of course, and saying how immensely satisfying it is, but Mike Graham has had to actually apologise for something for once. I mean, it took a year, but we got there in the end. And Mike Graham has responded by doing this. There you go. So it appears anybody who has been retweeting this apology and mocking Mike Graham for having to make it are getting blocked by him. So of course he doesn't mean it. It's empty words from an empty-headed, shallow, sad man. Utterly pathetic. Completely pathetic. And also, interestingly, this is still up. From June 10 last year, here is the charity that is funded to help illegal migration to this country. Follow the funding link to find out who gives them money. So is this not one of his defamatory statements? That they are funded to help illegal migration? Should this not have been taken down? Perhaps his lawyers went over it and decided this is okay. But purely by not taking this down, this demonstrates the character of Mike Graham, or lack of character. But based on this logic, this charity is helping fund illegal migration. This whopping donation from Rupert Murdoch's pocket, because of Mike Graham's big mouth, is going directly to this charity. So, whether they like it or not, the money of Rupert Murdoch, via the mouth of Mike Graham, is helping fund illegal migration. How about that? Isn't that fantastic? Except, of course, Migrants Organised is not funded to help illegal migration. It's just a downright dirty lie. But it doesn't change the fact. If this really is Mike Graham's belief, if he really does believe this charity is funded to help illegal migration, he has just made a huge contribution towards doing that himself. Mike Graham and Talk TV may turn out to be one of Migrants Organise largest donors through this payout. And it's just beautifully ironic. Thank you for watching. Take care of yourselves. Don't forget to click like and subscribe. I'll catch you again soon.